All right, guys, welcome to NAP Live. We are here with Karen Hall. This is the Note Assistance Program's webinar livecast where we come to you guys with some of the utmost trusted and credible professionals of the note industry. So today we are here talking with the president and owner of UDirect IRA. Before we get into that, we do want to let you guys know about some of the up-and-coming events. And we will start with Karen as a guest of honor. I know she owns a club, OC RIA. Karen, tell us about your last event and then the next one coming up.
We had a great meeting on the 14th, this Thursday, and we had Darren Blomquist there from Realty Track. He was giving us the economic update, so that was really great. He was saying that we still have a couple more years of good real estate to look forward to. And then we had a couple of industry luminaries. We had Jack Shea was there, and that was really great today. He had an event, and we also saw Jack Fullerton, who will be our speaker next month. So Jack Fullerton, some people call him Coach, you know, and he's been around a long, long time. He had the longest running real estate investment club in Orange County for something like 35 years. So they were at our meeting. It was a great meeting, well attended, and we'll be doing it again the second Thursday of every month.
That's awesome. And we are looking to become one of the newest sponsors there. I think we just owe her a check now, so we've got our application done, so we look forward to seeing you guys at her events as well. Let's see, what do we have coming up? We've got the owner of Pro Title coming up on next Saturday. If you guys are available, that's going to be one of the most highly anticipated events for NAP Live. And one of the reasons for that is it's going to allow us to dig deeper into the due diligence field, especially when it comes to title reports. So get into that. I believe next week is the 23rd, so that's Saturday, same time, same channel. That's going to be very educational. And then right afterwards, we have Matt Sorensen, so an attorney who's going to talk to you guys about, you know, how you're structuring your deals and everything. So stay in, and you can always check out everything on the YouTube archive channel that we have at the Note Assistance Program. The link will come out to you later, just in case you missed this and you want to catch up on it later. So I am extremely excited today to talk to our guest because one of the main catapults for getting the Note Assistance Program off the ground was helping myself and other investors who have the self-directed IRA avoid a lot of the gray areas. And me specifically, I always like to joke around and say there are two types of people in the world, right? There are the Ferris Buellers of the world, they get away with everything. And then there's me, who when I show up to the party, then all of a sudden the cops show up like 2 minutes later. And so, with that said, one things that I'd like to really stress upon clients and people that work with us is let's just, you know, find out what we can and cannot do and then act accordingly. Even if in the short run it causes us a little bit more angst, but long term, it'll keep you, because they never come and get you when you have nothing, right? It always comes after you've amassed a lot of wealth and you've gotten to where you are. So if we do things right in the first place, it tends to help us out in the end. And Karen has been extremely instrumental in helping my clients and I deal with some of the hard truths. There's all the creative people out there who love to tell you that you can do things that you shouldn't be doing. And again, those people are not found in the IRS. So we love working with Karen. For those of you who have been with us in the past, you know that she's only a phone call away. We've got new offices out of Newport Beach. I can't wait to share that with you. Our address is 4695 MacArthur Court, and we're in a tall high-rise there, moving on up. And beans not burning in the kitchen. Is that how it goes? So, but the good news about that is we're right around the corner from Karen's office. The reason I bring that up is we are always able to set up an appointment with her or one of her representatives and go right to her office as well and sit down and iron out some of your personal questions. So that's one of my biggest endorsements that I work with, making sure that they're available and that they're able to, as some people say, write in crown for us, because sometimes their language is so much above our heads. So love working with her, and we're excited to do the things here. I can go on and on and on. But Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the industry, your company, and then we're going to jump into the do's and don'ts of self-directed IRA investing.
Yeah, you know, I've been self-directed IRAs 9 years now. Can you believe that? Boom, it's a long time. And so, you know, there's a lot to learn, but my background, after being a radio announcer for 17 years, made the logical transition into real estate, because who doesn't, right? And then, so did real estate property management, that sort of thing. So driving people around in my cars as a realtor, managing apartment buildings, and then transitioned into the world of mortgage banking and got into mortgage loan servicing. I did that for a number of years. I'm really glad I did too, because it has so much to do with what we're doing at UDirect IRA Services. Then I got into mortgage loan origination for another few years, so 16 years altogether in the mortgage industry, before I made the transition in 2007 to self-directed IRAs. So worked for another company for a couple of years, and now UDirect IRA Services has been going strong right near the 7-year mark. And we've helped thousands of people, and it's a really good feeling helping people self-direct their IRAs, because they're building their retirement. Nobody really has enough to retire, and we need to make sure that we're constantly working on saving for the future. So it's a really rewarding thing to do.
Yeah, and before we move into the subject matter, I'm always wanting to brag about some of the side events that you're doing and the boards that you sit on. Tell us a little bit about some of the extracurricular events that you're doing and where they can see you speaking.
Sure. Well, I'm serving on the board of directors for the Council of Aging Orange County. So helping, they have the FAST team too that works with elder abuse and financial abuse especially. So trying to help people who are victims of financial abuse and help people not become victims of financial abuse. So working on that. And I also sit on the board of directors it's a national board for the Retirement Industry Trust Association, called RITA for short. And RITA is a lobby. We work with the Department of Labor, the IRS, and various other regulators to, set the rules, or help them as they set the rules. They come to us and they say, hey, what do you think? And we give them our opinion. So it's a real honor. And there's always a lot to learn. There's always something new for sure.
Right. And that's one of the things that we teach our Note Assistance Program members, is to rely on people like yourself, because you hit the nail on the head. There's always so much going on, so much more to learn. And if we put people like Corin at the forefront, she can come and bring it back to us in the bridge version, if you will, and keep us at the forefront of all these changing laws. So let's jump right into some things. She's got a wealth of knowledge, as you guys know, so let's start picking her brain. I want to remind you that this is live, so if you have a question, just go ahead and type them into the area right below the screen, and then they will come up, and I will bring them up to Corin, and she will be able to address them right on spot. So we'll be doing questions throughout the program. And Corin, let us know, let's start off with maybe some of the misconceptions about what you can do when note investing in your IRA.
Well, the misconceptions, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that you can loan money to yourself or loan money to your spouse for their business. So of course there are rules, like you mentioned, and so a lot with self-directed IRAs you can do so much, but of course you have to also understand what you can't do. So one of the rules is you're not going to lend to any disallowed people. And who are they? Of course it's your lineal ascendants and descendants. That's your parents and grandparents and their spouses. Then you and your spouse, and your children and your grandchildren and their spouses. So they're disallowed. So your IRA doesn't loan money to those people. Your IRA doesn't loan money to your own business, but your IRA can sure loan money to your brothers and sisters, your nieces and nephews, your cousins, your aunts and uncles, and so forth. So your IRA can do a lot. You just have to make sure that you're following the rules. And that's why when someone's looking to open a self-directed IRA and they want to invest in a note or whatever they want to invest in, we're going to talk to that person. We're going to talk to you when you call us for 15, 20 minutes and ask you about your deal. What are you looking to do? Tell us about it. I mean, it's important to know how you're going to set up the account, where your money's coming from, what kind of account you want to open. That's really important. But we spend the most time talking about, well, tell us about the deal that you're looking to put together, because we want to look to hear if there's anything that sounds like a prohibited transaction, so that we can steer you clear of that. We don't want you getting into it and saying, oh, why didn't you tell me? And of course, whether or not it's a self-directed or whether or not it's a prohibited transaction, I should say, it's the responsibility is on the account holder. But we definitely want to see what we can catch up front and save people from getting into a prohibited transaction if we can. So that's really important, is having that conversation, understanding your deal, and giving you the right expectations getting in.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about working with her firm and why it's such a good match with the note assistance program is just that attention to detail, because I haven't seen one single deal that's replicate of the other. So she brings up a good point, which is all deals are different, and that requires each deal to be combed through on its individual manner. So she wants to know not only about the specifics of the deal, but the specifics, of the person who's actually doing the deal, right? And so those are two pieces of detail that a lot of these other companies are in. And so shoving you down the program can be pretty detrimental, because a lot of us come fresh out of a lot of these big classes, right? We come right out of these big group classes, and we hear tidbits and bits and pieces of what other people are doing, and we want to jump in and try it. That may or may not apply to what we're doing. So that's one of the beautiful things about working with a company like hers. Regardless, she sits down, and every client gets a chance to tell their story and what their goals are, and then she gets to make sure you're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
So, give us an example. You mentioned Phonemic Transactions. Sorry, go ahead, Carmen.
No, I was going to say, you're so true. You're so right about classes. People go to classes, and they hear something, they think they heard, oh, that you can do X, and they're sure that that's what the instructor said. So you're very right. A lot of times you can't, you may not have heard it correctly when you go to those classes. So yeah, we're happy to get it all straightened out.
Wonderful, wonderful. So give us a few examples of Phonemic Transactions, because I know they come in all shapes and sizes, but any that stick at the top of your head, if you have any specific with notes or otherwise, because I know we just met recently with a client who, and we can start this one, wanted very badly to do some business with her sister, right? And she wanted to invest with her sister. They set up an LLC, and then we went around a few areas to try to figure out how the sister and the client could work together. We found out that the client was using her self-directed IRA monies. So tell us, I guess let's start with that. What were some of the things that stuck out in your mind, and why we could not do that, and what the alternative was you could do?
Well, I'm not remembering that, because I'm sorry about that. But we talk to hundreds of people a week, so sorry if I don't remember that specific deal. But with sister is typically an allowed party, so maybe they were there was some personal money involved or something like that, or I think that there was a personally owned LLC or something like that. So your IRA can't invest in any asset that you personally own. But when you talk about notes and things to steer clear of, one of my favorite stories is one of the very first things that happened when I opened UDirect IRA Services, and it's this appraiser who walks in my office, and of course it's 2009 at the time, and he wasn't doing a lot of appraising because real estate was pretty slow that year, and he had been working at a company, and he had a 401k to roll over. So he comes to me and he wants to roll over his 401k, wants to open a self-directed IRA, and he wants to make a note. Very excited about it. I said, well, that's great. And he hands me this piece of paper, which is really just some template he printed off the internet. So it's, well, okay, this is he's coming to me to do the note. So I said, well, all right, your IRA can lend money, but who are you going to lend money to? He says, oh, I'm going to lend money to my sister. I said, well, you can absolutely do that. Your sister is an allowed person. She's out to the side on your family tree. She's allowed. Your IRA can lend money to your sister. But something told me, I really better take it one step further. And I said, hey, tell me, when your sister gets this money, what's she going to do with it? And he says, oh, well, she's going to invest in my business. So it's like, fail. That's called the indirect rule. If you can't benefit indirectly from your IRA. So if my IRA lends money to my sister and then she lends that money to my business, I've received an indirect benefit from my IRA. It's a prohibited transaction. And of course, with prohibited transactions, what that means, the penalty ultimately is that your IRA is dispersed to you. The entire IRA is a taxable event. So that's something that you want to avoid. We want to help you avoid it. So with this gentleman, what we did is we worked with him and set him up with an attorney. Like you mentioned, Matt Sorensen's going to talk about structuring deals. Matt's an attorney who knows how to do that. So we set him up with an attorney to help him structure that note and write it properly so that it served his purpose. And then he decided to do another deal. He lent money to someone else instead, so another disallowed party, but it didn't go back into his business. Now, if it had, and he got audited, well, then he'd have to answer the IRS. But I think it's really important to two things. One, no indirect benefit, no dealing with disallowed people, and just making sure that you've got a note. If you're going to invest with a note, and if you buy a note, you don't get a lot of say in how it's written. But if you're making a new note, you want to make sure that note is specific to your situation. You don't want to just print a template off the internet that may not even apply to you. So you want to have great trusted advisors that help you, set up good business material, so that you can move forward. So there you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was great. So a few things that you brought up that I'd like to spend some more time on. Actually, there's 4 of them: prohibited transactions, disqualified people, and no indirect benefit. And I also want to touch on self-dealing. But when you mentioned no direct benefit, so that means direct or indirect, right? And when you say no direct benefit, you mean the person who owns a self-directed IRA, correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay, and so I often have clients who create LLCs maybe with their sisters or a disqualified person, and then want to fund their LLCs with a self-directed IRA money. Now, that violates more than one, does it sound like, or is that the main problem with that?
Why don't you back up and give me that deal again? So how do they do? What's going on here?
So I often have clients who end up wanting to, they set up an LLC with their sister or their brother, a disqualified person.
Okay.
And then they want to fund that LLC with their self-directed money.
Right.
And so,
right.
for example, if I had a sister, I do have a sister. My sister Nia and I started a company together, and then I had quite a bit of money amassed in my self-directed IRA, and I said, you know what, I'm going to loan the company that my sister and I own $100,000 to get running. So we can buy some notes. That's what I run into a lot.
Well, the reason you can't do that is because you personally own the company, and your IRA can't invest in an asset you have personal ownership interest in. So that puts the kibosh on that deal.
Great, great. And those are the type of explanations that are great for clients with noticeable disclosure. So you also mentioned clear on how would be a direct benefit in that and how you would avoid it. Disqualified people. Give me a complete list of those individuals.
Well, I think it's important to know. Yeah, it's of course you and your spouse, but it's your ascendants and descendants. So your parents and grandparents and their spouses, you and your spouse, and then your children and your grandchildren and their spouses, all disallowed to your IRA. So those are disallowed, but also anybody offering services to the plan, like a fiduciary perhaps, although there are a lot of fiduciary exemptions, but a fiduciary would be exempt, or it would be disallowed. And anybody offering services to the plan, also disallowed person. So there's the list. But the people who are allowed, the allowed people are strangers you don't know, except acquaintances, plus your aunts and uncles, cousins, brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews. They are allowed. So it's not enough to say your IRA can't invest with a family member. That's not necessarily true. It just depends on where they sit on the family tree.
Okay, great. So we got to pay attention to the family tree. Understood.
Yeah.
So we have a list of people that we would and should avoid working with a self-directed IRA. And she gave us a list of people that we're okay to work with, which is basically strangers, like she said, partners, dating partners, people not related to you. So that's kind of fits within the regular realm of things. We've also held about self-dealing. What does that mean specifically?
Self-dealing is when your IRA when you're investing with your IRA, self-dealing, or if your IRA is investing in an asset you own, that's self-dealing. So that's something to stay away from because you're disallowed to your IRA. So you have to. The thing of it is, and where these rules come from, and the heart of these rules, I mean, like the general gist of it, is that your IRA is for retirement purposes only. It's for later. It's not for now. So you're not going to benefit today from your IRA. You're going to save that benefit for later for retirement. That's why you don't get the benefit today, and neither do any disallowed people.
Okay, that's very clear. That's very clear. With notes, there's often, work that needs to get done, kind of like flipping. And so I know you help people when they want to put traditional real estate in their self-directed IRAs as well. Touch base on some of the things that the individual self-directed IRA owner can and cannot do with either of the examples. So if I have a flip that's funded by my self-directed IRA, can I go out there and paint because my painter didn't show up, or if my nose can go out and would you recommend me calling the borrower myself? Where does that thing go? Because there's a lot of sweat equity that we'd like to do on our own, but we're
Right. Right. Well, you know, the truth of it is you're not allowed to offer services to the plan. That's also a prohibited transaction. So, and what that means is, for example, like you say, you're not going to go out there if it's a house, you're not going to swing the hammer or, you know, paint the walls or do anything. If your IRA is invested in a note, you're not going to be doing collections on the note. But what you can do is you can decide which notes you're going to buy. You can, you know, have conversations with, if you're lending directly, you can have conversations with the borrower. But if you're buying like say, for example, a non-performing note and it needs to be serviced, then you need to have a third party service that note. I think another really important thing I should mention about self-directed IRAs and notes is that the self-directed IRA company itself is not a loan servicer. So we're not amortizing that note for you. We're not giving you a payoff demand on that note. We're not performing the note servicing functions. You can hire a third party to do that, but we're not doing that on behalf of your IRA. So that's really important to know.
Right, and that's awesome because one of the gist of the program that we have here, the notice assistance program, is outsourcing, right? The proper vendor. So not only do we suggest people work with companies like yourself, self-directed IRA companies that offer help. A lot of people have their IRAs with companies and then they still come to me for advice because their IRA company's not offering any type of communications to them. So I encourage them to talk to people like yourself. We work with a lot of we have them outsourcing, sending lenders, servicers, like you said, as far as doing collections and things of that nature. But it was interesting to hear that we can have some conversation with the borrower and we can actually have to see which notes are in here. So that's enough for some of us, you know. And the rest of it, outsourcing, is really good, and that's really what we teach here. So thank you for that. Tell us a little bit about how someone would get involved in working with your firm, and then I want to field some questions, and then maybe give some examples to a few of the note examples if you have that come to your mind of either of the prohibited transactions we talked about.
Excellent. Well, the way someone works with our firm is, phone call, email, carrier pigeon, whatever. Just walk in the office, make an appointment. Let us know that you're interested in self-directing your IRA, and just let's start that dialogue. And not only am I available, I'm the president of the company, so I'm not always available, but I do also have business development people at the company. And so whether it's me or whether it's one of the business development people, we're going to work with you and listen to you and listen to what your situation is and talk to you about your deal. So you can. Our website is udirectira.com, and what's great about it is that you can open an account. It's a 3-step process. You open the account, you get it funded, you invest. Open, fund, invest, and that's how it works. And so we walk with you every step of the way. Every step of the way.
Okay. Well, I do have a few questions here. So before we jump into those. About as far as getting enrolled, what does a normal client look like for you? So is this someone that has 401ks that when they left a job or can roll over a 401k existing job, they're currently working, or what's really a qualified person to call you up? At what point should we call you?
If you want, first off, I think what you need to do first is decide what you want to do with the money, with what you want to do with your retirement money, where you want to self-direct it. If you think, wow, I'm going to be looking at buying some notes, well, then open an account, get it funded, and get yourself set up so that when you find the note you want to buy, you're ready to pull the trigger. You're not like, I found the note, but now it's going to take 2 weeks to get the money over for my current custodian. So maybe I should talk about timing a little bit. You open an account, takes a day. You give us the paperwork. We open your account. You get a account number. You get a password and ID to log in. So that's right. Moving the money from where it is to your new self-directed IRA, that's going to take 2 weeks, so you want to be prepared. And then after the account's open and funded, then you're investing. So while we're waiting for that money to come in, we're going to be looking at your deal, looking at it, scrubbing it, making sure that the IRA is the investor, that the IRA has enough money in the account, that you're bringing over enough, that you're leaving in a pad for fees and that sort of thing. We're going to take a look and look at the whole deal. So by the time the money comes in, we should be able to pull the trigger and fund that deal for you. So open, fund, invest are the 3 steps.
Wonderful. Sounds very simple. I'm excited to hear that. We love simplicity out here. All right, let's jump into some of these questions here. We've got a question from Mrs. Keaton. up in Southern California says, what type of paperwork and reporting is required by the IRS if I invest in a note using a 401k self-directed?
Okay. What kind of paper is required by the IRS? Well, I think the kind of paperwork that we require is first the account paperwork. So if you have a self-directed 401k, that's great. Or if it's an IRA, that's fine. So what we need is a direction of investment where it's a one-page form, kind of like writing a check where it's got your name on it and how much you want to have sent out and what the asset is, together with, and then you sign it, together with the supporting documentation. So the supporting documentation would be the investment document, the note, and if it's a secured note, we need the security instrument as well, so the note and the security instrument. And that's what we need. Again, so a direction of investment form, the supporting documentation, and we're going to review that and get it out. So it's not that the IRS requires it, it's more that we require it in order to, custody the asset.
Wonderful. I've got Mike out of Colorado who says that he is trying to use money from a retirement plan at his current job, but has run into some obstacles and is told that he can't do that, or he has to take it in the form of a loan. What can you elaborate on that?
Right, that's really common. So when you're working for a company and they offer you a 401k, that's great. I hope you contribute as much as you possibly can to that 401k, especially if they're matching and giving you free money. I mean, that's the best thing, right? So, but if you're working at that company and you're still in service, you're probably not going to be able to move that money over. But you can go to the plan administrator, it's called plan administrator, and request an in-service transfer. You're working there, you're in service, and you ask if you can get the in-service transfer. They're probably going to tell you no, unless for some reason, maybe you worked for company A and they were sold, and then company B took over, and now you've got this company B 401k that's mixed from both companies. You may be able to move some of it over, or if you're 59 and a half, a lot of the plan documents have a special rule in there that if you're 59 and a half, you can do an in-service transfer. Otherwise, you're right. The only thing you can do to get money out of a 401k at your current employer is to take a plan loan. So that's $50,000 or 50% of the account, whichever's less. Then what happens when you get that money is that's your personal money. It's your personal cash, and you'll get, it's not going to be a tax protected money in a retirement account. It's going to be regular, you're just, your own money out of your own checkbook investing. So you don't get the tax protection that you and the savings that you do with the self-directed account.
Okay, great. Thanks for that question, Mike. I think that one helped a few of us out. We've got Southern California again. What happens if you foreclose on a note and decide to sell the property? Is this a flip and taxable event within a self-directed account? Okay,
so your IRA owns a note and they don't pay, you kind of get the brass ring, you get the property. Yay, you hope you got a good loan to value, right? And that your IRA is going to make some money on this. So, that could be a very good problem to have, I suppose. So what you want to do then is you need to let us know that the asset is changed from the note to the actual property, and so we need to make sure that the property is titled in the name of the IRA. But if you want to flip it and sell it, you certainly can. Then, of course, as we sign all the paperwork on behalf of the IRA to help you make that transaction happen, and then all the proceeds go back in the IRA. So that's the thing with IRAs. All expenses of a self-directed IRA are paid for by an IRA, and all proceeds have to flow back into the IRA that owns the asset. So that's what you do. I mean, if you don't want to foreclose on a property, but maybe it's the best thing that ever happened to your IRA.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of ways to profit and make money in notes, so I've seen that before. I have another question out of Massachusetts who wants to know, can you buy tax liens in a self-directed IRA? And I guess that's a good segue for you to give us an idea of whichever's the shortest list, I guess, what you can and cannot buy in an IRA, self-directed IRA.
Okay, so we'll talk about what you can and can't do, then we'll talk about tax liens. So the IRS, when they came out with these rules 40-something years ago, they didn't say what you can invest in, they just said what you can't invest in. So you're not going to invest in life insurance contracts or collectibles. That's all they said. Your IRA is also not going to be a member or a shareholder in an S corporation, because an S corporation won't let you do that, not because the IRS says so. But everything else is fair game. So your IRA can invest in real estate directly. It can invest in notes and tax liens, raw land, syndications, secured and unsecured notes, performing and non-performing notes, all kinds of things. I mean, if you can invest in it, you can pretty much do it in a self-directed IRA. Precious metals are really popular. Again, private stock really popular. So all those things you can do. Now, when it comes to tax liens, we just need to kind of like take a step back, because tax liens, they are very transaction intensive. Now, if your IRA is going to buy one tax lien, that's fine. But who buys one tax lien? Normally, people will buy several, like a list of them. So if your IRA is going to buy multiple tax liens, you're going to run into a lot of account fees, regardless of who your IRA custodian is. So sometimes it's a really good idea to have an IRA-owned LLC, sometimes called the checkbook IRA, so that you've got your own QuickBooks, you're keeping track of everything, and that you're keeping track of all the payments that come in and all the disbursements that go out. Really, mostly it's money coming in because, of course, they're paying their tax bill to your IRA. But with an IRA-owned LLC, you avoid the administration fees that you would always run into, because each separate tax lien is a separate asset. So you buy 10 tax liens on a tape, you've got 10 assets in your IRA. So now here comes a payment for one of those tax liens. Which one does it get posted to? What if they don't say? We don't know where to post it, so it just goes in the account, and we don't know where to post it because it wasn't identified. But see, and that can cause a problem, because you're not sure, well, the money came in, but you don't know which asset it's for. So it's when you have an IRA-owned LLC, you can have better control over your IRA tax lien investments. And I think it's a great tool to use for that situation.
Great. We've got someone out of Arizona, Jonathan, asking, can his self-directed IRA JV with another self-directed IRA?
Let's talk about that. A JV is not an asset, okay? You can have a joint venture, that's fine, but understand that I laugh because we run into this all the time. But a joint venture is not an asset. You can't say, here, buy my joint venture. It's not negotiable, right? It's not an asset. So whether you have a joint venture, that's one thing. But your IRA can invest in an asset itself, like a note. And if you happen to have a joint venture in the background, that's fine. But just keep in mind, yes, you can do it, but just remember a JV is not an asset, okay? There we go. Like a partnership can be, something you can invest in, but a JV is not an asset.
Okay, great clarification. One we didn't even know to make, but awesome. And we've got Stephanie out of Atlanta, Georgia, wondering how long does it take to fund the deal if they have everything with you guys and have identified an asset?
Yeah, say you've already got money in your account, you've had your account with us for a while, you come up with a new deal, hey, you want to fund it. Typically, our turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours. And if you want to, be super proactive, we have our transaction coordinators, our office, and you'll have one assigned to you. And so as you begin to invest a lot, you'll develop a rapport with that person. But if, say, it's the first time and you're investing, we're going to walk you through it, but the timeline is going to be 24 to 48 hours, assuming that all the paperwork is in line. If it's not, we're going to tell you right away. We're going to try to give you as much heads up as possible to get everything corrected so we don't have a fuss down the line.
Yes, and I can attest to that. We've done quite some deals with her firm. And also, if you guys are new to this process, many sellers, as long as you let them know up front that you're using self-directed IRA fund, they will give you, they'll accommodate you, within reason to get the vehicles, because she's right, there is some paperwork, and for someone who's new, it may be daunting. They may miss the checkbox, the signature, and everything on her end has to be done correctly, and obviously for your benefit, before we can get everything funded. So once you've done it once, I can tell you it's really systematic and something that gets easier and easier with time. But she's got the team and the staff there that help get things done. And everyone that works with us, at least, one of our biggest concerns is getting it done the right way. So that's awesome. All right, we got someone out of Florida talking about your checkbook LLCs. guys offer them, and what advantages do they have over non-checkbook? And I guess it looks like he says, do you get your money faster if you use a checkbook?
Well, you do. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Yes, we offer the IRA-owned LLC, and the other thing is we not only do offer it, but we allow it. A lot of self-directed IRA companies don't even allow you to use an IRA-owned LLC because I'll tell you, they are fraught with prohibited transactions. When you have so here's the downside to an IRA-owned LLC. When you have one, there's no second set of eyes looking at your deal to make sure it's not prohibited. So every transaction that goes through needs to be for investment purposes only. It needs to be compliant with the IRS. If you do one thing in your IRA-owned LLC that's wrong or prohibited, it can disallow your entire IRA-owned LLC. Your entire IRA can get dispersed to you as a taxable event. So I always like to say, you know the movie Spider-Man, Jasmine, they say with great power comes great responsibility. That is the truth.
Right.
With IRA-owned LLC. So you got a lot of responsibility. So the downside is you don't have a second set of eyes looking at your deal. The upside is, yes, you've got quicker access to funds. That's true. And you may have some asset protection on top of that. You want to talk to your attorney about their opinion on that. But also, too, if you're doing a lot of deals, normally we sign the deals. So, but when you're the managing member of your IRA-owned LLC, you're signing the deals on behalf of the LLC. So you can skip us not only our review, but also our signature on your deal, if as long as you're acting as the member of the LLC. So those are some of pros and cons there with the IRA-owned LLC.
Wonderful, wonderful. We love working with you. So clear with your explanations. Let's give everyone an opportunity to contact you. How do we contact you? Maybe your phone number, email. I'm the best person to reach. I know you have a lovely front desk in there. Maybe give them her name, and yeah, let's give a quick break and have her contact you.
Yeah, well, just call our office. The local number in Orange County is area code 714-460-5505. You can also reach us at 866 toll free. 866-538-3539. But let's face it, we all email each other, and we text, but we can't really text in our industry. So you can email us, no problem. info@udirectira.com works. It's a small U, big D, udirectira.com. So really an email is the quickest, best way, udirectira.com. So if you forget all that, you can go onto our website. You can really find it very easily. A contact page has all of our contact information. You can even write us an email right there on our website and just hit send, and then we'll get your email and respond to you. So it's super easy to get a hold of us. And if you want to make an appointment and come in, you can do that too. We'll sit down with you and spend time understanding your deal and what you want to do.
And they've got a huge social media presence as well. They can find you on Facebook, I believe. Is it Twitter? Where else?
We're Facebook, Twitter. We're LinkedIn, and we have a weekly email. So if you'd like to get our weekly newsletter, you can go to our website, and there's a little bar there, where you can type in your email address, and then you'll get onto our weekly newsletter circulation and get that every week. And so mostly it's a lot of good news about ways to learn more about self-directed IRAs and more ways to learn how to invest in alternative assets.
Yeah, and then she has a wonderful blog as well, so I just want to plug that as in addition to it, because there's always some good articles, and then her YouTube channel has some great videos. I steal some from now and then when I'm talking to my clients, kind of give them some homework and things to look at. So you got a wealth of information. I got a few more questions here. One specifically, this one's out of Utah, talking about commercial deals. Can you put commercial deals, commercial notes or otherwise into your self-directed IRA?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, a commercial deal is just a different kind of asset. It's real estate. So if it's commercial, it's probably a big deal. Maybe you're getting into it as a syndication. If you're buying a commercial property straight out, maybe you've got a lot of money in your self-directed IRA. But maybe you're going to get into that commercial deal and you want to get into it with some leverage. That's something to be, it's a whole topic to really cover here. So if you're going to invest in something as expensive as a commercial property, maybe it's like a 5-unit building, apartment building, or multifamily or something, but your IRA can borrow money, but it has to borrow non-recourse money. It has to be a non-recourse loan. In fact, if you want to email me at khall@udirectira.com, I'll send you a list of non-recourse lenders. The list that we have, not necessarily people we endorse, but it's there for your benefit to help you do your research. So your IRA gets this non-recourse loan maybe. So the lender, which is not our company, would be a third-party company. They're going to take a look at your deal and they're going to say, well, how does this property going to cash flow? That's probably the number one thing they're going to look at, because if the deal goes bad, they can't come against you personally. They can't come against any other asset in the IRA. They can only come against the subject property. They want to make sure that property is cash flowing. So say, for example, you've got 70.
And that's what non-recourse means, I guess, by definition. Is that correct?
Yeah, it really does. So you say you've got like 70% of the money in your IRA, but you come in with 30% of non-recourse money. Well, then now you've got this commercial building. Here comes some rent. 30% of that rent is now subject to a tax. We use self-directed IRAs to avoid taxation, to kick the can down the road a while. But if your IRA is borrowing money, then your IRA pays a tax called unrelated debt finance income tax. How do you like that? UDFI. So if you want to read about it, if you're a rule book kind of girl and you want to write it down, you can go to the IRS's website, irs.gov, G-O-V, and look at publication 598, and you can learn about UBIT and its cousin tax, UDFI and UBIT. Yeah, there you go. They're the cousin taxes. Read about those. Talk to your CPA about them. And before your IRA borrows money, make sure you begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey, who passed away 4 years ago, today actually, as Stephen Covey used to say, begin with the end in mind. Pencil out your deal ahead of time. And if your IRA is going to borrow money, factor in that filing a 990T every year, how much that's going to cost. That's the tax. It's like you and I, we do a 1040 every year. Your IRA files a 990T form if it owes this tax. So there's some expenses incurred. You want to pencil it all out and make sure that you're doing a deal that's going to make you some profit in the end.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for being so thorough. Looks like we've got at least 2 more questions here.
Okay.
Julie Brown out of the Costa Mesa area, California. She says, I was told that you can mix your outside personal money with your money inside your self-directed IRA to invest in property. Is this true? And if so, how does that work?
Okay, well, I'm saying steer clear of it. Can you do it? Yes. Okay, so would I do it personally? No. So there's something, a ruling by the Department of Labor called, again, if you want to break out the rule book, it's DOL ruling 2000-10, so 2 and then 3 zeros after it, -10. That's the ruling that says you can partner with your IRA with your personal cash. So if you're going to partner with your IRA, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not receiving any personal benefit. So if you're looking to do a deal and you couldn't do it unless your IRA was a partner, then you're receiving personal benefit from your IRA. So just make sure that you're doing it right. I wouldn't, if I was even thinking about going there, I wouldn't do it without an attorney opinion letter that it was the right thing to do. So there you go. I think that also too,
Hello?
the attorney, yeah, hey, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I thought we disappeared. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm all done. I was just chit-chatting about that, so we're good.
Gentlemen here out of Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
going back to your questions or your answer about, looks like maybe indirectly benefiting. He says, can I hire my brother's firm to work on assets that my IRA, self-directed IRA owns, even if I'm not part of the firm?
Well, especially because you're not part of the firm, you can sure hire your brother's firm to do that. A brother is allowed. So yes, your IRA can hire your brother's firm to do work for your IRA-owned assets. That's fine. You want to stay arm's length from your brother's company and make sure you don't receive any personal benefit. So if your brother's doing all this work for your company or, for your IRA, and then your brother gives you a car for Christmas, so because you earn so much money from working on your IRA, just as an example, then you receive personal benefit. But otherwise, there's no problem. Yeah, yes, your IRA can hire your brother's company to service your notes. Yes.
And that's good. And I love the example of the card. So what she's trying to make very clear is that you don't want to be listed as an independent contractor of that company. You don't want to be in the of that company. You don't even want him to send a you thank you. Let him come give you a Thanksgiving, and that'll keep all the gray areas clear. Is that correct?
Oh, it's correct. And you just with a self-directed IRA, you want to keep everything arm's length. Just nothing you're personally, you're not supposed to offer any personal services to the IRA. So just keep it arm's length. Good rule of thumb. Can't hear you there.
Forgot to unmute it. So I was saying we're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I'd love to end it by leaving them with a memorable story. I know you do a lot of deals, work with my company and others doing notes. Do you happen to have a story you were looking to get out to us as far as one that we can learn from note transactions?
Well, I think a lot of times we learn from people's mistakes, so I'll tell you one of those. So,
yes.
So we had, of course, we have a lot of people investing in notes and doing really well and doing it perfectly, and that's kind of boring. They're making all this money, and there you go. And that's great. But when people make mistakes, that's when we learn. So, I think one of the mistakes we've seen is people whose IRA will be investing in a note, and then here comes that payment every month, that monthly payment. And instead of letting it go back to the self-directed IRA, they pocket that money because they want to. And so instead of having the repayment made payable to their IRA, it's made payable to them personally. And so that's called taking constructive use of your IRA if you were to pocket the proceeds from your self-directed IRA. So don't do it unless you want to have your entire IRA dispersed to you as a taxable event. So always remember that all the expenses of the IRA are paid for by the IRA, and all the proceeds have to flow back into the IRA that owns the asset. Super important, so that you don't want to make that mistake.
Yes. And stories are always the best way to learn. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you, yeah.
Can you still hear me, Karen?
I hear you and I see you.
Okay, great. So we're going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come out and educate my guests. And we look forward to working with you in the near future. The Notice Assistance Program will be present at her meetings starting next month, so we look forward to seeing you guys there.
And I have an offer.
Have our lunch and learn. Oh, please.
I have an offer for your listeners. So if you would like a book on self-directed IRAs, like an actual, remember those paper books that you open up and they have pages that aren't ebooks? I will send a book to you, right, back in the olden days. And so just email me, and in the subject line put NAP, Note Assistance Program, just put NAP in the subject line. And in the body of the email, give me your name and your mailing address, because I will mail you a physical book. And just let me know. So email me at khall so KHALL at the letter U, udirectira.com, udirectira.com, and I'm going to send you a book for being a friend of Jasmine. How about that? For you're one. If you're listening to this podcast, I consider you one of the 1%ers. You're the ones who are out there doing it, making it happen. You're going to have a great retirement, and you want to do it right, and I want to help you. So, again, just email me, put NAP in the subject line to my email address, khall@udirectira.com.
Right. And I also mentioned she would give us a list of non-recourse lenders. So you're getting a lot of good nuggets and door prizes, if you will, from this. And so that's another reason that we work with people like them. They're just, full of abundance and not willing to share it. So definitely, I encourage you to take advantage of that. As we wrap things up here, again, you can reach Karen online as well as stopping by her office for people who are local. If out of state, reach out to her via email. We do work with a lot of other clients out of state. We have a lot of clients nationwide. I also wanted to bring to your attention that those of you who are in Southern California, we do the Note Lunch and Learns every Thursday from 12 to 1. And they are now at our new location on the 11th floor of 4695 MacArthur Court. That's in Newport Beach, California. that's conveniently located right off of the 5. You get off MacArthur, and I believe it's on the corner of MacArthur and Maine. So stop by there. Every other Thursday, we do something called Note Trading Thursdays, which allows have a conversation.
Can't hear you.
He says to hear me.
Bye-bye.